What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Back to the Past. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to talk about the year 2009. Now, as I made the videos for this entire year, we're wrapping up. We're getting close to kind of the restart, which we'll be talking about over the next couple videos. But I noticed a theme, right? Now, I tried to go for games that were 5, 10, 15, 20 years old. I really try. I like numbers. I like those kind of nice, strong numbers. But what I found time and time again, as you guys might have noticed by watching, the stuff throughout the year, is so many games were from 2009. I picked a lot of games to cover, and actually I missed even more. For as many games as I covered of the Dragon Ages and Borderlands and Bayonettas of the world, I missed probably twice as many of them. So I thought, you know what, 2009 is such a special year. I've even told that story, back in June. I told the story of how 2009 is the year I got my PS3. It's really the year that I entered like the modern gaming era. I had played the Crash Bashes of the world when I was like 5 years old, Crash Team Racing, and I grew up on the PS2, I grew up on the Wii, and I grew up on like handhelds, Game Boy, 3DS, DS, all that kind of stuff. And when it really came to this like modern gaming, 2009 and the PS3 was when I really started to join it. And it just so happens that I think 2009 honestly is one of the strongest years we've ever had. Now I'm going to read through. I actually did on a notepad. I have many games that, not all of them are amazing, but a lot of them stand out to me for one reason or another. So I thought, just kind of for fun, I want to read through these and we'll talk a little bit about some of the highlights. Again, through the themes of like Dragon Age and Borderlands and stuff, Infamous, Prototype. It was a year, I think, of innovation. It was a year of new ideas. And if we could have a year like 2009 again, that'd be phenomenal, right? Of just all of these amazing franchises, a lot of them were started, weirdly enough, in that one specific year. Again, many other years as well, but 2009, even 2010, they're very strong when you look at them. The Lord of the Rings Conquest, Fear 2, Loco Roco 2, 3-on-3 NHL Arcade, Flower, GTA 4, The Lost and Damned, Star Ocean, The Last Hope, Halo Wars, Killzone 2, Mad World, Resident Evil 5, Resistance Retribution, Hannah Montana the Movie, Godfather Part 2, Chronicles of Riddick, Assault on Dark Athena, X-Men Origins Wolverine, Plants vs. Zombies, Infamous, Sims 3, Red Faction Guerrilla, Prototype, Ghostbusters the Video Game, Overlord 2, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, Call of Juarez Bound in Blood, Trine, Street Fighter 4 on consoles, Battlefield 1943, Fat Princess, Wolfenstein, Dissidia Final Fantasy, Arkham Asylum, The Beatles Rock Band, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, Scribblenauts, Wet, Halo 3 ODST, Professor Layton and the Diabolical Box, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days, Saw, Demon Souls, Brutal Legend, Uncharted 2, Motorstorm Arctic Edge, Borderlands, Forza Motorsport 3, Tekken 6, Ratchet & Clank Future, A Crack in Time, Bayonetta, GTA, Ballad of Gay Tony, Dragon Age Origins, Star Wars Battlefront Elite Squadron, Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2, Dragon Ball Z Raging Blast, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Left 4 Dead 2, Assassin's Creed 2, Silent Hill Shattered Memories, Angry Birds, and GTA Chinatown Wars. Now, I think that's most of them. I think like Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince maybe is one that I think maybe I forgot to put on that list, but holy dear Jesus, I had to pause a couple of times there to catch my breath. What a list. Now, again, not everything on this list is phenomenal. A lot of them are kind of split, right? But what a freaking year, truly. Now, again, like, getting my PS3 and, a couple games I played like demos of, I put things like Call of Juarez on there. I don't think that's a good game. At least my memory of it is not very good, but it is a game that I remember renting. 2009, I had Motorstorm, I had Resistance. Neither of them are from 2009. I did get Prototype, right? That's why I got my PS3 in the first place. And really, so many of these games, what's funny actually, I think, so many of these games, I don't know if I played a single one of these in 2009. I think in 2009, I was playing a lot of catch up. So I was playing Assassin's Creed 1. I got Uncharted 1 for Christmas of 2009. So I got Uncharted 2 sometime in 2010, maybe even a little bit later. I don't actually remember in my head, but I do remember like things like Wet, Hannah Montana I just threw on there because that's kind of a notorious trophy one. 3-on-3 NHL Arcade, I remember that very vividly because I got NHL 10 for Christmas. So I guess NHL 10 is another game that year. I got that for Christmas, and I played that game probably hundreds of hours, maybe like Sims 2, NHL 10, maybe like one or two other games for like the longest I've ever spent in a game would be like those ones. Unbelievable. But, that was like a cartoony, kind of like arcade. Well, obviously it says arcade in it, but, arcadey type game. I remember I played that a lot solo, and I played a lot with that with my dad, actually. So that game kind of stood out. But I mean, like, Killzone 2, so you have some, sequels to it, Halo 3 ODST, Killzone, Uncharted, right? But this was the birthplace, like I mentioned earlier, right? Infamous, Prototype, Batman Arkham, Bayonetta, like, the list just, Scribblenauts. Scribblenauts, I think, is a phenomenal game that I definitely, as soon as I saw it, I said, I gotta put that on this list as well. Like Shattered Memories, not the best Silent Hill game of all time, but it's definitely there. Brutal Legend as another, original IP. Demon Souls, you literally have the freaking birth as we know it from Software in 2009, right? Saw, I actually think Saw 1 as a game is extremely good. I didn't like Saw 2, but and I played them back in the day. Saw 1 was extremely good. I mean, you got, again, like some of the fighting games on there. You had some racing games. I mean, what didn't you have in 2009? You had Plants vs. Zombies, and I wrote Angry Birds. Now, generally, I'm opposed to like mobile stuff and all that, but Angry Birds took over the freaking world, right? I think it came out in December of 2009, so it just kind of made the cut. But I'm just looking at the list, like Ratchet and Clank gets another a game. Beatles Rock Band, so I got Beatles Rock Band leading into Green Day Rock Band because I really I love Green Day and I really wanted it, but I needed all of the instruments, so I got the Beatles Rock Band bundle with like Paul McCartney's bass and all that stuff, which my parents actually ended up throwing out, but I had all that stuff. Fat Princess, I remember playing a demo for. I don't know if I ever actually owned the base game because I only ever remember the first level to it, so that's actually something interesting for me to think back on. Trine, I think I got Trine 3 as a review code back like, oh my god, 5-6 years ago. I really like Trine. I don't think played the first one, but that series obviously again birthed in this year. Ghostbusters, the video game, I have a lot of these. Not all of them, and maybe not even most of them, but I have an okay amount of these games physically, and Ghostbusters is one. Ghostbusters 09, I think that obviously maybe popular opinion, the best Ghostbusters game out there. But Lord of the Rings Conquest, the game I started the list with, I have that physically, and I've said this multiple times, right? I'm not even a big Lord of the Rings guy, but that game is really, really good. I remember playing that a ton with my friends, and I haven't obviously PS3 kind of era. I think it's stuck there. I don't even think you can play it, or can play it, besides PS3. But I remember playing that game a lot at the time. Mad World, I remember renting. I had GameFly back, and not all of these in 2009. Like, I'm trying to give you guys my memories, my experience with as many of these as I can. But at the same time, they weren't all this year. Again, I got my PS3 halfway through the year, and then I had 3 games. MotorStorm 1, Resistance 1, and Prototype. Batman Arkham Asylum, I would buy these with my own money. So, Batman Arkham Asylum, I bought day 1. I don't think I had another game between those 4 games and then Christmas. And Christmas is when I got Uncharted 1. I think I rented Assassin's Creed. I bought Assassin's Creed 2, but I would rent Assassin's Creed 1. So a lot of games I would rent, and that really started in like 2010. And I remember 2010, maybe even 2011, I had GameFly. And I actually think, GameFly is going away. GameFly I think is actually an incredibly cool thing, and maybe we can do a video on GameFly. That feels like maybe I should like rent or try it out for like a month nowadays, see what it's like. But I had it. I had it for, I probably had it for like half a year, and back then, or maybe it's still the same thing now, you'd be put on like the wait list, right? Or like just the list in general. So like a big popular game, if you wanted it, you might be 10th on that list. If the game comes out, you're not getting it for like 2-3 months after the game's out. And I didn't want that, right? So I would do old games, any old game. So I would do things like Mad World specifically. Think Mad World might have been the very first game I ever rented from GameFly. And, I rented a few of them. Most of them I did like Family Video, which took over the Blockbuster in my area, or by me. Sims 3, another one that kind of gets a new one. And I mentioned all of these like brand new IPs, which I've done a lot of the videos, like Prototype, Infamous. We did videos on those individually. I'm a huge Prototype guy, if you didn't know. Infamous I am too, but I think Prototype has aged still extremely well. I think Prototype is a phenomenal game. Infamous, I think, is a great game. I actually don't think it's aged as well as I thought it would. So, but kind of that anti-hero time where you have 2 of those games coming out, maybe like 3 weeks apart, and then kind of the back half with Arkham Asylum and then Borderlands, Bayonetta, Dragon Age. I mean, you had Assassin's Creed 2. That's not necessarily an original franchise because of 1, but so many just new ideas. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I mean, that's it's one of the last, I mean, I guess that was 15 years ago. I played a bunch of them, but that one is obviously the one that stands out for me. I think it stands out for a lot of people, that specific game. I probably dropped out of COD maybe 2, 3, 4 years after that. I did play Declassified, I think it is, on Vita, which I think I did a video specifically on that too. I mean, just what a, I know I keep saying it, brutal legend. I mean, there's just so many freaking games. I really, I do this actually more often than you might think. Like, I'll type something in on Google and say, what games came out in a certain year, and I try to study them. Like, I really try to remember them, offhand, just on the top of my head. Just, one of the only things I can bring on the internet is knowledge and experience, not talent with editing or anything like that. So I try to know as much as I can. So, I'll do this for other years, and I don't know, for what my money, putting my money on it, 2009 is an incredibly strong year. We've had weaker years, definitely weaker years, but I just think from top to bottom, existing franchise like Halo 3 ODST, right? Uncharted 2, like, these are some of the better games of the generation that we Dragon Age 1 maybe is the best Dragon Age game, and you could say that actually for a couple of these things, right? Is Arkham Asylum maybe your favorite? So you had so many new games, you had so many sequels, and we're still in the early days of sequels, right? Halo 3 ODST, Uncharted 2, right? Things like that. We're not in like 6s, or I guess like maybe Tekken, but for the most part, we're getting DLCs for GTA 4, right? We're not getting like the 7th, 8th, 9th entry into some of these games, and a lot of them trying it for the first time. So I think it's an incredible year. It just so happens to line up when I really entered, the gaming space in terms of playing, and this is when I would go on IGN and really try to learn about a lot of this stuff with, just watching the reviews and just editorials and whatnot on like Batman, Arkham Asylum, etc. And 2010's big too. I have a list, and maybe we can do this, going into next year if you guys like this video. I have, like I said, I try to do 5, 10, 15, 20, year anniversaries, and I wrote down as many as I could the games that came out. And so let me cheat a little bit. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but because I already did this, I'm like months ahead in terms of planning for this channel. 2000, 2005, 2010, 2015, and 2020. The list for 2010 is maybe 7 times the size of 2020 and triple the size of any other year. 2010 is, easy, not even double. It's easily triple. And I mean, these are games that stand out for me, but it's unbelievable. So I think really 2009, 2010. Now I'm only going by 5s. I don't remember 2011 off the top of my head. I think the fall of 2011 was actually kind of big. Elder Scrolls, Uncharted 3, etc. But 2010, 2009, we were in I think we were in the best years of gaming at that time. Again, with just the greatest sequels I think we've ever gotten, along with the greatest new ideas that we've ever gotten. So, or games that were created and the franchises are still going on to this day. So many of them you can trace back to 2009. So I don't know. I feel like those couple years are some of the strongest we've ever had. There's been strong years, and I think we'll look back at some of these years pretty strongly as we go 5, 10 years from now. But yeah, just wanted to do this video, see what you guys thought about it. I know that again, I've done so many of these games in just individual videos. If you guys want to check them out, they're on the channel. I thought, hey, let's just talk about the entire year as a whole. So let me know what you think. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and hope to see you all on the next one.